We are coming live from Doola HQ, and you know what time it is. It's the best time of the week. It is time for another weekly live, coming live from New York. Doola HQ, we are right here in New York City, 27th and 6th Ave. If you are in New York, please let me know. Would love to meet you in person. And we have a global audience tuning in as always, just like the Doola customer base. We know entrepreneurs are all over the world. Today, I have a topic I'm always excited to share any topic, but today's topic is especially special, and I have a cool concept. I think it's cool. Today, I'm going to walk through exactly how a $3,000 offer, or $2,999 to be exact, took us from generating $25,000 a month to actually hitting and surpassing $25,000 days. And this is a playbook which we've called the Business in a Box playbook. So I'm going to reveal some sauce here. If you go to our website, you'll see we are a business in a box. We have a plan called a Business in a Box plan. And I'm going to actually walk through and take you back in time to how we arrived at our Business in a Box plan and how we put together the playbook. So if you are starting a company or scaling, I think there's going to be learnings here for you. I'm going to share a lot of the mistakes we made, and hopefully you can take this, copy this, and avoid a bunch of those mistakes. So let's dive in. What I'm going to actually do is I came up with a concept here, and I'm going to try to do a little 2-for-1. So not to get ahead of myself, but when I say 2-for-1, here's what I'm thinking. I am actually going to not only share the concept, but I'm also at the same time going to walk through how we actually used this video and created a YouTube video. So to clarify there, what I mean is we turn this concept into a YouTube video, and I'm going to then show you how we outline the video too. So I'm going to explain the concept, and I'm going to show you how we outlined the exact video. So you'll get a 2-for-1. Now, with that in mind, if anyone has questions as we're jumping in, I will absolutely take them. So please drop them in the chat. We'll absolutely answer questions as we go through. And without further ado, I'm going to walk through how a $2,999 or $3,000 offer took us from 25K a day, took us from 25K a month to 25K a day. Now, very first thing, here's the little thumbnail. You can actually go watch this full video on YouTube. So if you're coming in at any point and you realize, crap, I missed the beginning, the full video is on YouTube. You can watch that. You can share it with your friends. You can comment, do all of that stuff on YouTube. But let me take you through how we actually go from idea to YouTube video. Now, like anything in life, ounce of preparation is worth a pound of the cure. So you'll see here, and this is exactly how I'm going to walk through too, everything starts with an outline. If you write the outline, it's easier to write the book. If you have an outline, it's easier to record the video. And this is where I could just show up to the camera and start talking, but if I actually have an outline of what I want to cover, it's so much easier to not only record, but also to edit. The pre-work is an ounce of pre-work is a pound of post-work. It makes it so much easier. So I already gave you the hook. The hook here is I'm going to talk through how this $3,000 offer took us, and this is the transformational journey. So you're hooked. I hope you're hooked. Took us from, they were doing 25,000 in a month, and now they're doing it in a day. And there's a playbook too. Okay, so that is the hook. And we started the video with, obviously there's a thumbnail here. It says this offer made 25K daily. You can see some Stripe payment notifications. So the point here is to appease you or to get you a little interested. Now, the hook specifically, let's start there. This is probably the most important part of any piece of content. It's actually the most important thing in life. When you meet someone, your hook is the first thing you say. Actually, I would argue your hook is actually before you even say anything. There's this really famous study in psychology done by a UCLA professor named Albert Moranian, and it is called the rule of 55, 38, and 7. And this rule says that 93% of human communication is actually nonverbal. 55% is your body language. Before you even say something, you've communicated 55% of the message. Then 38% is the tone of voice. So we haven't even gotten to what you're saying. And then the last 7% is what you're saying. So in life, your hook is actually, before you even say a word, it's your body language and your tone of voice. In content, you are effectively trying to stop someone's scroll. So the hook has to be, starting from the thumbnail on YouTube, but even on social, it's that first sentence. So in this video here, the hook is, what if I told you that creating one perfectly packaged $3,000 offer completely transformed our business, taking us from struggling to hit $25,000 in a month to hitting 25K days? Now you can steal that. What we found, and I've seen this with others, is that the transformational journey is something always people want to figure out. And not only are you sharing a transformational journey, but you've set the stakes right away. You've said, okay, this is what they're going to explain. Does that sound too good to be true? Let's see. But starting somewhere, taking you on this journey, and I'm going to take you along that exact path. Now, the other thing is social proof can always help. So actually in the video, we put a little screenshot. We blurred out some metrics. You have to have some suspense and some intrigue, but you'll see our net ARR movement. So this is just recurring revenue, not non-subscription. Shows an actual screenshot of, hey, look, we actually did get to, these are some days earlier in the year, over 25K in single days. This was actually over 36K. So the social proof is helpful because you're trying to prove to people, hey, this is why you should listen to me. This is why I've done the thing. Quick interjection. If you are worried about what to create, don't think about creating, just think about documenting. This video, I don't view it as creating. I don't view myself as a creator. I'm quite literally a documenter. I'm documenting how we rolled out this offer. And with this framework, actually went from, again, 25K a day to 25K. Sorry, I keep saying that backwards. 25K a month to 25K a day. So that's the hook. Now, that took 10 seconds. It took a little more than 10 seconds for me to explain, but I'm spending time there because I think this is the most important piece in creating content. I'd say in life, actually. Again, people say don't judge a book by their cover. Harsh truth, people do judge books by their cover. Your website is your first impression. What you wear, the way you present yourself, that's your first impression. These things matter. Yes, you can always come back from a bad first impression, but the hook matters a ton. Okay, so that's the hook. Now, next thing is a little introduction. So you have the hook. Next thing is you need to introduce people. Now, people might be following the channel or following you, but I like to assume that if I put something out there, there's people who have never heard of me or Doola before. So doing a brief intro not only helps introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself for others, but it provides some social proof. So in this introduction, hey, I'm Arjun, founder and CEO of Doola. We help entrepreneurs launch and scale their businesses through proven systems and frameworks. A lot of the content we put out is business education, helping you launch or level up. So very brief intro, and then on the screen there'll be some B-roll. You can check out the YouTube video. But then what I say is in the next 10 minutes, or I pick some time frame, I'm going to share the business in a box framework, the exact system that allowed us to package our expertise into a high ticket offer that completely transformed our company's trajectory. So there's this famous rule in public speaking: tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. You'll see here we're following a very similar framework. From the hook to the title, we're telling you what we're going to tell you. We're then going to tell you, and then we're going to summarize by telling you what we told you. If you actually see that, you can never unsee it. In any great public speaking or any content, it follows that similar framework. So again, you don't have to really reinvent the wheel here. If people have done it, you can learn from it. That's what I did. So that's the introduction. Now we go into a story. Now, this is something I've learned many times. You might just want to jump into, and a lot of people want to know, okay, so what's the exact framework? But stories actually allow you to take people back in time. It makes it more relatable, and it actually just makes it more memorable too. So specifically, there's two things here, and you can see the framework. Step one is identifying the problem. So actually taking someone back in time to the beginning of that transformational journey. So you can see the bullet points I have here. Start by sharing how we were trapped in this cycle of selling low ticket products or custom services. It was exhausting, and explain how revenue is inconsistent. So I just had some talking points, and I could literally close my eyes and take myself back in time there. So I told that story. And then you share the story of how this led to discovering the framework. So I'll actually tell the story now as I'm going through, but a bit meta, I'm explaining what I'm explaining. So there was an analysis. We go back to the fall of 2021. This is now 2025. I had to look at my watch for that. It's 2025. And back in 2021, we used to have a plan called the starter plan like this, or the start company plan, which was $349. And you can see it had a set of services needed to start your business and renew it with the registered agent. But then it had a bunch of these optional add-ons. Let's see if I can even zoom in here a little bit. So you can see here these optional add-ons: priority filing speed, annual compliance letters, a phone line, an ITIN, tax filings. All of these things were extra optional add-ons. And we did this because we thought, hey, someone might not want everything right away. So let's just give them the initial starter, and then all these other things they can add on later. That was the hypothesis, not a bad hypothesis. You can also see we were called Start Pack. We weren't called Doola. I've recorded a separate video on actually the story behind Doola. If you're curious of that, you can check out the previous live. Now, we launched this pricing page, and guess what happened? Okay, you guessed in your head, and I'm going to tell you. This was the most interesting analysis we've done in the history of doola, I'll say. This is the actual analysis. So this is another thing you can do in videos, which is cool. Show glimpses of the journey. From this plan, we actually used to do, our back end used to be Airtable. So actually a quick interjection here. If you're saying, hey, I don't have engineering or I don't have resources, Airtable was our back end for multiple years. That's a no code, low code tool. So this was actually our back end. You can see purchases coming in here. And you can see that in this period of time for this analysis, of the 71 purchases for that starter plan, that 349 plan, there were 71 people who just got the starter plan with nothing. So that's all these rows here. They just got the starter plan or maybe a single add-on, but there were 3 people, and these are the 3 people who changed the trajectory of doola. Who are these people who literally checked every single box? They checked all the boxes. And the truth was, don't get me wrong, 71 is bigger than 3. But those 3 people, I needed to figure out what they were doing. Because it was against the norm. Who are these people that selected everything, all caps with 5 question marks? So this was the first insight that we realized that people out there didn't want a menu of options. It's like going to the grocery store and going into the pasta sauce aisle, and you see 50 different types of spaghetti sauce, and you're like, you know what, screw it, I don't even want pasta anymore. It's too hard to choose what sauce I want. That is what was happening here. There's this decision fatigue of, wait a second, I'm coming in, I'm looking for help with this, and you're telling me here's a menu of things to go choose from. No, wait, I want you to tell me what's the best thing because I trust you and you have social proof and you've done this before. So we realized, wait a second, these people, they trusted, wait a second, these things are here for a reason, we should probably utilize them. And that was that first insight. Now, I'll be real, and here's some other bullet points. There was resistance to actually putting it all together because that's a lot of money. A lot of people, we used to get people saying, hey, $349 is too much, can we get a discount? So there's a lot of resistance to even increasing your prices there. But we decided, let's run the test. And that first test exceeded our expectations. That was the first inflection point in the business. So you can actually see here, this is an actual graph. This is when we actually launched the first bundle offering. And then we added more to the bundle here. And you can actually see in terms of the shape of the graph, every time you add to the box or bundle, looks like the rate picks up. So we're going to continue to do this, but this looks like the rate picks up. And what was really cool there is that it all started from those 3 people. In this analysis, those 3 people who decided to get everything, and that was an insight. So that's the other thing I would say is no matter where you are in your business, this applies for us today too, customers have the answer. Any problem in your business can be solved by either talking to a customer or looking at how a customer is doing something. In this case, these people gave us the answer. They were screaming in plain sight saying, hey, I want it all in one place. I want this one-stop shop. I want this business in a box. So with that, now let me become a little meta here. We've talked about the story. I took you back in time. Now what we're going to do is actually explain the framework. Now, the way I do this is, the reason why I think having a framework is helpful is you've told the story of how you did it, but you want to make it applicable to others. I think that's a really easy way to share or transfer learnings. So we call this the business in a box framework because it's what we did to build our business in a box plan. And it's broken down into several steps. So you don't have to get too fancy here. You can come up with different steps or names, but the goal here is to actually take what you did, come up with a process that someone can then apply for their business. So you can test this out yourself. This should apply to your business no matter what you're doing as a business. Or even if you have an idea, it should apply there too. So step 1 is the value extraction process. This is detailing how to identify what customers truly value. And this is exactly what we did with that Airtable. So you just look at your customers, the full set of customers, whether you have 10 or 1,000 or 10,000. See who are your best customers, who's spending on what. Those are the ones you should focus on. So in that Airtable, those 3 people buying everything, those were quote unquote the best customers. They're paying us more. They wanted more things. We like to build. So the more we can build and people want, that's better. And those customers actually tend to stick with us for longer too. So there's so many reasons why for us it made sense to build for them. So for you, the exercise is to literally look at your customer base. Doesn't matter if you're in Airtable or Excel. Doesn't matter where your data is. Go look at it and say which pocket of customers is getting the most value. Who do you want to serve in that bucket? Build and focus on them. So that's the first step. The second step is transformation packaging. Now, this is a lesson I've learned the hard way. It is so easy for founders and people in companies to get into this techno jargon babble where you just start listing out features because it's really cool. You built it. You want to talk about how the sausage is made and how the chips insert with each other and how your database is set up. People don't care about that. People want an outcome. Don't get me wrong, it is cool what you built. I'm saying this to myself, but they want an outcome. So in this case here, I have a line which I tell myself: facts tell, stories sell, value compels. So facts are just telling. That's that techno jargon. And I'm going to show you an exact example of how we learn this from a test. But the story is what sells. That's people actually saying, I want to work with you. And then the value compels you to take action. So let me give this example here. We actually ran a test where in our pricing page, we put all of the features in the top. This is that version of techno jargon where, hey, let's list everything, right? Like show them every single thing they're going to get if they work with us. And then the B variant was, hey, let's actually not do that. Let's just put a one-liner of the ultimate outcome you're going to get. So you can even see here, accurate financials and peace of mind. That's not even a list of the exact filings, just saying the outcome you're going to get. And does anyone want to guess which variant won? It was this variant. The one where we did not throw the kitchen sink at people, where we put 50 pasta sauces out there. This one lost, and I actually thought this would win. I proposed this test. I said, hey, let's put all the information there so people can make an educated decision. But here's the thing. They can make the educated decision if they scroll down, but very clearly, facts tell, stories sell, value compels. It's that combination, but this is another learning. You don't have to throw all the facts at someone. Help them understand the outcome they're going to get, and then when they're ready to go explore and deep dive, you can have those resources. So that is transformation packaging, explaining the structure of the offer, do it around outcomes, not just features. Number 3 is perfect price positioning. So this is a lesson we've learned too around pricing on value, not just cost. Because if you're pricing just on cost, it's a race to the bottom. Someone can undercut, someone can undercut, someone can undercut. But the way we think about our business in a box is we want to add the most value. Here's some things we actually say. We want to give you peace of mind. This is not a cheap option. If you want the cheapest option, you can go DIY. We are not serving people who DIY. I have nothing against people who DIY too. We are serving founders who want and value their time back because they know, even for a $3,000 plan, over the course of a year, which is less than $300 per month, in that time, they can generate way more revenue. And they can focus on areas of the business where they can produce more output. So it's a really good trade. You're trading it for someone who's done it before for tens of thousands of people, has done it. You can outsource it. You don't have to spend time on it. You can spend it on other times. Give me that trade 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. So these are some lines we say, right? DIY entrepreneurs don't work with doula. We work with doers who value their time and want a trusted partner to scale. So our goal is we don't want to compete on cost. We are one of the most expensive options in the market. You can check. A lot of people out there might offer free LLCs. We don't offer completely free unless it's a promo or your birthday. But $3,000 for that full bundle, that is pricier than what you might see for the lowest cost option or cobbling things together. But we want value in the offering. We're going to continue to add to the business in a box. And you can have peace of mind that it's going to be a fantastic outcome as well too. And if it's not, you give us feedback, we'll improve. So that's perfect price positioning. Step 4 is the objection elimination system. Now, this was part of the hesitation about even launching this in the first place. Anticipating people saying, oh, it's too expensive, or, what if it just doesn't work? You have all this fear and anticipation, and like most things in life, the anticipation is way worse than reality. Way worse. So in this case here, we did a couple things. We actually built a doula versus the alternatives page. We don't want to compete directly against we have this versus that. We want to have standalone N of 1 value. But hey, if someone wants to see how we are compared to the other alternatives, we have a page which shows that. And we also shared, hey, we have a differentiated offer. So here's the coolest thing. If you actually have a differentiated offer, meaning your bundle or your offer is different than the competition, there's no reference point for price to justify. Yeah, people might justify it from cobbling things together, but you can actually set your own playing field or price too. So I'd say if you are in a market or industry where there's other alternatives, people are going to do their research, especially in these days with LLMs and ChatGPT, etc. So don't really hide from it, but you're going to have some objection elimination as to why you are better. And it could be your lower cost, but I think the more fun game to play is your higher value. You can justify charging more and deliver higher outcomes. Step 5 is delivery streamlining. So now this is the final step. I'm just going to share an analogy here, which I heard. when you start something, any business, it should actually be held together by duct tape. So everything's cobbled. I showed the example of how we used Airtable. Behind the scenes, your website might look flashy, but behind the scenes, duct tape's probably holding everything together. That's okay. It actually should be that way because if you spend time, years, creating the fine-tuned steel melded option, and then you put it out into the world and realize no one wants it, you just wasted years. Versus, hey, it's held together by duct tape. There's steel rods duct taped together, but it worked. And now, in order to standardize and scale, you have to turn that duct tape into steel. So you have these rods, you're going to weld them together. I just like that analogy because you can launch with duct tape. That's completely okay. I don't know how much revenue duct tape does. I think it does a lot, but duct tape's good. It's powerful. But you don't want that forever when you're really scaling. So lesson, duct tape to steel, duct tape to steel. Say it to yourself, say it 3 times. Start with duct tape, turn it into steel. So in this case here, I'll tell a story. I used to actually sit down end of every day and manually fill out the EINs that we would send to the IRS. Because you're doing it manually, that leads, not only is that slow, but it can lead to human error because you're manually putting forms in. That's duct tape. Now it's steel. It's automated. We're filling out PDFs. We're faxing them to the IRS. Computers don't really make errors in those cases. Faster, lower errors, duct tape to steel. Side note, if you come to New York, we have the first EIN framed on the wall. So that's the 5-step framework. Again, broke down our story into 5 steps, which anyone could apply. The last part. So we've done the framework. Remember, if we come back to the top, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. So at the end of the video, we have a recap and then always a call to action. So the recap here is, and that's the offer. That's the Business in a Box framework. Transformed our company, allowed us to work less, deliver better results to our customers, and grow. So again, just summarize what you said. And then the final thing is a call to action. Now, the call to action can be anything. You don't have to necessarily sell something. It could be follow me for more content like this, or comment below with questions. You don't necessarily have to sell in your call to action. I actually think you shouldn't sell all the time. If you take a 5-post cadence, let's say Monday through Friday, I think maybe 1 out of those 5 posts should just directly sell. The others provide value or provide engagement. So in this case here, if you want insights on creating offers, check out links in the description. That includes a newsletter. That includes a link to schedule a demo. That includes social profiles. People can go explore. And here's the thing, the more content someone consumes, we've seen this data on our website. We've qualitatively learned this. The more data or information someone consumes before they get to you, the more likely they are to purchase or engage with you. And it's like getting to know you before you've even met them. And then the last thing, call to action. If you found this video valuable, please do me a favor by liking and subscribing to our channel. So we have call to actions there. You can go on your adventure or journey. And that is the Business in a Box framework. I hope this was valuable. I showed you not only how this offer took us from $25K a month to a day, but I walked through how we actually structure this in terms of putting together a YouTube piece of content. Now, the other thing I like about sharing this stuff is if you are out there saying that is a terrible process or I would have done this differently, please let me know. I welcome the feedback. That's one of my favorite things about putting yourself out there or building in public is you increase your surface area for getting lucky, but you're just manufacturing the luck because you're putting yourself out there. And someone out there who's done this before better can ping me and say, hey, you did this, but I recommend this. So that's one of the huge perks of putting yourself out there and building in public. Okay. And again, the last thing I'll say, little call to action, is you can watch the full video on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and search this offer. Just check out the channel. You can watch this exact video. And if you have any other topics, you can let us know as well. Okay, we had a couple comments coming in from the chat. I'm going to pop some of these up here. Let's pull open the chat. First thing here, we have oh, nice earrings though. Thank you. We have a little, hold on. There we go. We have an LLC earring there. I appreciate it. It's a great conversation starter. Next up, we have a comment here. Go doola. Yes, go doola. Doola swag. We got the doola water bottle. Okay, next up we have a question here. Is doola legal to use in India? There are some YouTube shorts by competitors which says creating US business entities via doola might be illegal. Then I'll answer this, but we have a couple more comments. I really appreciate doola. It would be helpful if you guys wrote a detailed step-by-step guide, especially for Indian users, to be legally compliant with FEMA Act and other RBI-related guidelines and how doola would help you. Harshit, this is a fantastic question. it is not illegal to start a business in the US from India, but you are totally right. There are certain regulations you have to stay compliant with. So if you actually follow us on X or social, we have put out content. We actually have this on our blog on how Indian founders can stay compliant. So actually, just if you go to the Doola blog and search, we have a piece of content that can help answer this for you. Also, for any Indian founders listening, you can schedule a free demo with our team and we can walk through as well. So, fantastic question. It is not illegal, but you have to stay compliant. And I'll be candid, it's a bit more complex because there are these regulations too. In other countries, you don't have to really manage this, but in India, there are these regulations. So, I'm not advising anyone to not stay compliant. And I think most people want to be compliant, but you have to make sure you get the steps done correctly. So, great question, Harshit. Please check out the Doula blog and you can search for this. We have content. In our help center too, we have content on this as well. And Harshit or anyone listening, if you have questions, you can chat us online or do an actual demo to walk through on this as well. Okay, in the last couple minutes, if there's any more questions in the chat, please chime in. Timeless Trend, hi, I have a big question. Okay, now you've got me intrigued here. You can't just say I have a big question without asking. So, well, if you have a question, I'll pop it on the screen. Other than that, though, while we wrap up, I'm just going to let folks know that if you found value today, I'm trying to share as much of the learnings from this journey so that people can avoid the mistakes we made. And I write a newsletter called the 2-Minute Business Hack. You can click on this link down below. Every week, no fluff, I share a business hack that I've used and learned from trial and error that you can implement into your business. So this is one hack, I guess, the business in a box framework. We have other hacks too. I'll tell you my favorite one. Next time you're on a sales or partnerships call, stand up. It's like putting makeup on your sales calls. You automatically have more energy. Now, anytime I do a sales call or a partnerships call, I just stand up. Automatically have more energy. And funny enough, a lot of people will say, hey, you had a lot of energy. We want to work with you. So it doesn't require anything other than you standing up, and there's one hack. So you can subscribe to the newsletter there. Also, if anyone is on the fence of starting their dream business, the best time was actually 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. There'll never be a perfect time. You have to take action, and you can schedule a free demo with our team. So again, that's completely free, no strings attached. You don't get to the end and it says, hey, please pay $100 to secure your demo. No, none of that. You can schedule a demo down below. Okay, Timeless Trend. The question didn't come in here, so we're going to save this for next time. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Again, once again, really quickly came in. I don't know why. Can Doola help me solve the problem with Stripe? I don't know exactly what the problem is with Stripe, but if you message us, we can try. For Stripe or other banks, we don't work at those banks. We have partnerships with a lot of these companies, so we can try. But if people do have questions about Stripe or banks that we work with, you can message online as well. Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you all. Please, you can find me on social, message if there's anything you want me to cover in a future live, and I will